Glenn Clark Radio, talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuff and things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
When they were reading out yesterday, the name, I was like, first American Pope. Do you think they were so moved by his performance as a wedding officiant that they went right ahead and skipped all the way to Pope? So I was a little disappointed. I mean, guy seems like a fine guy.
You immediately thought of me.
I thought when they, because remember, it was, I don't know if you were watching the live coverage.
But mine was non-denominational, my officiating.
But that doesn't mean that they couldn't have been so impressed by it that they said, I understand, Stan, but we might need to think outside of the box. We hadn't had an American Pope before yesterday. Why not have a Jewish Pope?
First Jewish and American Pope?
That would have been different.
It's time to think outside the box.
I'm really not qualified for that position.
Now, what makes you think that? Not with that attitude, you're not. I believe in you as your manager. I don't know what kind of cut of the salary you get as Pope. I don't know how that works. I can look into it.
I thought it was all out of the goodness of your.
No,
so you're immediately thinking of like sort of the business side of the Pope.
Oh, we were gonna get you out on speaking tours.
The Pope is dope.
We were gonna
Pope is dope
sign
t-shirt.
some Pope hats and maybe let people take some rides on the Pope mobile. Like I was already working.
How about if they had named Poe the Pope?
Yeah, that would have been not in favor of that.
Pope.
No, I think that's a bad idea. Stan the Pope, I'm in for that. But the Pope, no, I don't care for it. So I was a little bit bummed when that didn't end up being the case, Stan. I thought this was the moment. I thought they got word and they said all the Cardinals got in together and one of them stood up and said, I don't know if you guys have heard about this wedding officiant.
So good.
It's changing lives.
He came out of
changing lives in America, and it's time for us to reconsider what maybe a pope looks like.
They are thinking of calling me Mother Stan.
Now that I'm
Mother Teresa.
I'm listening.
Stan.
I'm listening on that. Second place, was that? Did you get official word on where you finished in voting? Was it?
No.
I think it was 134th, I believe.
I mean, that's higher than you.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, it was higher than me.
That's a fact. I know that.
I don't even think like the Charles Barkley commercial. I'm in the top 1,000.
No, you're selling yourself short over there, Stan. I think you were very much in consideration. Good morning. It's a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. And if it's a Friday, our chief grand poobah, Stan the Fan Charles, is stopping by. And why wouldn't he when we have so many wonderful things to talk about? When everything is so much fun around here. Why wouldn't Stan want to be here to get in on the fun action?
Thanks, Stan.
Our friend Dan Zimborski from Fangraphs, he wrote about the Orioles recently. We will check in with him a little bit later on. And who knows who else might be popping in during the course of the morning. We will do this week in the rest of baseball. The Orioles, you'll never believe what happened yesterday if you didn't get a chance to watch it. They squandered a bunch of opportunities and lost a baseball game. I know it's crazy. Did get a second consecutive solid start from Dean Kramer. So got that going for us.
There is that going for us.
Got that going for us. But runners on second and third, less than 2 outs. Who needs a run?
You knew the second that Rivera was thrown out at the plate that the game was in
to be
deep
fair,
jeopardy.
it is still a horrendous call. I mean, like, we've seen the still shots. He was safe. It was close, but he was safe. And
I thought he was out.
Oh, no, they found some of the still shots. He was definitely,
Really?
Yep, he was definitely safe.
Palmer called him safe, initially. And I thought when Palmer said it, I said, yeah, I see that. And then I saw the other shots of it, and I thought they.
I'll try to find
All
it.
right.
The one that's being passed around was the one that was most obvious, where the tag has not been applied and he is touching the plate. But look, man, it's.
Yeah.
I also know what happened there, which is why the Jackson Holiday thing from early in the week is so bloody confusing. I have accepted that there is something in baseball where, like, it's close, so we're just not going to do anything about it, right? Which is dumb.
Right.
Like, if you can see the call, get it right. But I've accepted that. That's why the Holiday thing the other day was so perplexing.
Which game was that in?
That was Tuesday night, right, where he stole second, was called safe.
Right.
And then they went and reviewed it, and everybody
we
kept looking at it and saying, well, I'm not really seeing anything that would overturn this.
Right,
And
right.
then they came back and overturned it, and you were like, what? Like, what am I missing here? And it's easy to go to the place of, like, I don't remember, somebody got thrown out of a game for arguing yesterday after in a review, like just trying to make a point and saying this is nonsense. And hang on a second, I'm trying to figure it. Terry Francona was thrown out, got after a review, the game against the Braves of a play at second base where the call stood, despite it appearing pretty clear that it should have been safe. He just said, I need to make a statement here, and I'm going to go ahead and get myself thrown out of the game.
Right.
Now, arguing after a review is kind of pointless.
Right.
The review's
because
already happened.
The review's also taken place in New York. It's not the guys
Correct.
on the field.
And so I don't know, like, what to make of the argument that, like, maybe Brandon Hyde should be out there trying to get himself tossed out of a game.
Right.
You can't change anything about the call. And I get it, when you're trying to get tossed, it's not normally about changing that call.
Right.
It's about trying to impact
Send a little message.
future
to your
calls,
team.
get your guys fired up, something along those lines. I don't know. I don't know what the correct answer is. What I know is ultimately, if they had scored one more run yesterday, they still would have lost 5-3. Something is broken, badly broken right now. And that lethargy that we noticed at the start of the season has gone nowhere. It is just looming over this club, and I'm out of trying to come up with answers. I'm never the type that's interested in firing somebody, but it feels pretty inevitable at this point that we're on the path of it's just going to happen, save for, some sort of dramatic turnaround. I don't think it's going to make a difference. I just think it's what we do. This is the way that it works. You get to a certain point, your record is what it is, you just fire the manager for the sake of firing a manager. It's just, that's kind of part of baseball any longer. But I'm out of it. I'm out of things to say.
I'm kind of out of answers myself. I've got questions, but I don't feel like I have the answers.
So what are the questions that you have, Stan?
The questions I have are partly about the fan base being so. I mean, it's almost like, well, yeah, Grayson's out, Eflin's out. This guy O'Neill's hurt all the time. Westberg's hurt. Urias is hurt. That the injuries aren't part of the equation. It's all looking for blame on Brandon Hyde and Mike Elias. And, yeah, there's blame to go around to them. There's also blame to go around to the players,
I certainly think the players, they are very high on the list of where the blame should go.
Yeah.
Like, these guys just Adley Rutschman is not a baseball player right now. He's a guy. He's a replacement-level catcher at the moment, and frankly, probably on the south side of replacement-level catcher, particularly given, like, his throwing. It's just kind of dreadful at the moment. Like, I don't know whose fault that is. I struggle with the idea that the biggest story is the injuries. I do struggle with that. Like, the two, Grayson and Eflin, 100%.
Right.
But the Orioles knew they needed pitching upgrades in the offseason. They knew they needed to be better, and they didn't accomplish that. So, yes, it hurts to lose two pitchers, but they knew they needed to be better. It's a reason why they offered Corbin Burns $45 million a year. And it's easy to say, hey, Corbin Burns is hurt right now. That would be like, we can do that eternally. But they knew they needed more. In the moment, it was hard for me to understand the thought process. And look, the Sagano thing has worked out, I think, better than most of us expected it to.
Correct.
Clearly, the Morton thing has been an unmitigated disaster. It's been Trevor Rogers-y disastrous. I don't know what to say about that in any way. I thought maybe he could at least be a fifth starter, so somehow he's even still disappointed me, and I didn't really have much expectation for Charlie Morton. It's hard for me to me, the bigger story is what's happened to Gunnar Henderson, what's happened to the baseball players, and that's one that I can't put on injuries, right? Like they're out there every night, and it's just sort of abysmal to watch.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to make of that and where the line is between the two things.
I also think they've really made a miscalculation. I know Ryan Mountcastle's a former #1 pick, but he's been a really major disappointment now, going on like 2.5 years. You know.
Yeah, save for post vertigo. Right.
And I wonder. And I really wonder if they've sort of squandered, because you realize Mayo's going to be here for 5 more days. Then he's going to go down. There's likely to be even more regression on him this year, where he goes down and he's bummed that he's back down and his mind is spinning. I wonder if they shouldn't have just cut bait and made a position for Mayo.
Well, I don't know how it can be worse than what you're getting out of Ryan Mountcastle, even if he's been disappointing.
No, I'm talking about the way they've. It almost reminds me of the Kevin Gausman thing, where he was up for a start, he'd get bombed, then they'd send him down for 2.5 weeks, then he'd be back up. It's up and down, up and down.
I'm saying if you just committed to Kobe Mayo right now to be your first baseman, I don't know how it can be worse than Ryan Mountcastle. Somebody would say,
okay. I thought you were saying,
no,
I don't know why.
I'm saying I don't know how it could possibly be worse. Now, the argument would be defensively it would be worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the argument that you make, is that Ryan Mountcastle remains a high-level defensive first baseman.
Right.
But of all of the – look, that's a great luxury to have a high-level defensive first baseman, but it's a luxury to have. What's a necessity is that your first baseman be producing.
Right.
You must have that.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many positions where you can count on that.
He's been really dismal.
Awful.
And people can say, what are you on him for? And you want Mayo up the way he's hitting?
Right.
At least Mayo in the minor leagues has a track record, and don't get me wrong, Mountcastle was an MVP and all that, but I always go back to that Buck Showalter story about the walks.
Okay.
Where he said to Mountcastle, he said, you only walked 12 times last year, and his response was, yes, Skip, how about that? And he said, what are you laughing about?
Right.
That's how you're going to determine whether you're a player or not. But Mayo, at least, the strikeouts to walks, are reflective of a guy who actually does understand the strike zone. It doesn't look that way when he comes up to the majors right now, but
I look, Ryan Mountcastle to me should be optioned. I mean, like, that's just where I am.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be this isn't working, this is broken, we have to do something about it. The idea of trading him is nonsense.
I love when it's all this talk about him being, they're thinking of shopping him, or nobody wants him.
For what?
Nobody wants him.
The hell are you shopping Ryan? When he was performing, it was hard to get a partner for Ryan Mountcastle because he was still limited.
Right.
He wasn't Jeff Bagwell. He was the guy that everybody else thinks they have in their organization already.
Yeah, I think they've been very slow to make an admission about him that it's just time to move on from him.
If they just want to reset him, they can reset him to me and hope that it works
Yeah.
out somehow. But yes, it can't continue to be we're just sticking this out there every day and hoping for the best and accepting this as the production that you're getting at first base, because you have to have more production than that.
But some of the blame does go to the general manager of the team. You know, you really question. You traded Austin Hayes and got Sir Anthony Dominguez. I saw enough of Sir Anthony Dominguez last year that, to me, he's sort of like your 10th or 11th pitcher. He's not a guy I want in a close ball game, you know, coming in, not even the ninth inning.
There's quite a bit of volatility.
There's quite a bit of volatility with him. And it's not like you got him for $2.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
You got him for $8 million. You let Colomb go for what would it have been, 3?
I think it was 4, right?
3 to 4.
Yeah.
But then you sign Sanchez for $8.5 million. You know, I mean, the expenditures of money haven't been. It's not like the frugalness is totally there. There was money to spend, and I think they spent it in some bad ways.
No, I think it's quite at this moment. It looks like it's.
I mean, and Kittredge, you know, I still think we'll have a good season from Kittredge, but it's going to be probably six, 7 weeks too late.
Truncated version of it. There's no doubt about it. And look, you know, Charlie Morton was $15 million and has been worth $1.
Yep.
You know, the Tyler O'Neill money doesn't look good at the moment, not just because he got hurt, which you knew was part of the equation with Tyler O'Neill. He gets hurt constantly, but even before he got hurt, he was not making a difference, and sure as hell nobody was hitting left-handers.
Yep.
And that being, hey, we've got to go in on finding some right-handed bats.
Yep.
Yeah. Yuck. I mean, utter yuck. They can't hit a lefty to save their lives.
Yep.
And what that has done, the mentality, how it has hurt them, how that I can't get into the psyche of a group that I'm not around. I'm not around this group, and they'll continue to say the same things. We're not panicked, but some of the beat writers are starting to acknowledge, like, it's not. Look around the clubhouse.
Yeah.
You know, it's bad. I mean, it's just bad. And how could it not be?
Yeah.
How could it be pleasant? In what world would anybody be like, yeah, no, we're all's good here? There's no problem.
The Rodriguez injury and then the Eflin injury, I was saying this right before we went on the air. This series against the Angels, and I have no idea if we'll sweep the Angels, we'll get swept, we'll win 2 out of 3. But it is the first series I looked at the pitching matchups, and I said, we got a chance in all 3 games. You know, I mean, we actually have the more attractive pitcher in 2 of the 3 games.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Which is
The problem is, though, Tyler Anderson's pitching Sunday, and he's left-handed, so
that's true. They'll need Zach Eflin to throw
a no-hitter,
more or less, because Lord knows they're not scoring a run. That's the way it works against lefties. That's the way things go.
But you got Sagano against Kyle Hendricks tonight. Kyle Gibson versus, is it Jack?
I've never heard
Kokonowitz.
of this.
Kokonowitz.
Yeah.
Never heard
And
of
then Eflin versus Anderson. So at least on the pitching side, I think we have a little bit of an edge. So
They've got to score some runs. They can't leave everybody. They can't continue to go 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position. They can't. And this is the.
They can't?
Well, they could. They sure as hell could, Stan.
They can do whatever they want.
You're absolutely right about that. They might, in fact, continue to go 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position. A lot of people wondering, timing-wise, with an off day on Monday, if this weekend goes south, if Monday becomes the day that they make a change.
I don't see it
I don't know.
happening for at least a month. I don't see it happening.
It's interesting. Mike Elias kind of chose to do a media tour this week. It would seem odd to choose to do that, to try to, hey, we're not doing anything like that. We're not there, and then just days later that be the case. I think that would only happen if
That would sort of be like Trump-like. To
to
say you're not going to do something and then start to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ish. I would say, though, the difference being there is the possibility that that type of decision is taken out of his hands, right? Like, and I have not, none of us have sensed that's the type of leadership that David Rubenstein is going to provide for this team. But
Right.
as we talked about last week, the wild card to me is I know that Michael Arrighetti is very involved, and I don't think any of us have much of a feel for Michael Arrighetti, and if he's the person.
I don't think he has the patience. In other words, I don't think he's going to be as easily. David Rubenstein wanted to do this as a civic thing, and he likes baseball and all that. Michael Arrighetti and his guys, Mitch Goldstein and all that, and Mike Smith, I think it is.
Smitty.
They've played fantasy baseball for years, and trust me, they can see stink when they see stink. And Sanchez, Dominguez, those expenditures, they're not swallowing that as easily as David.
Oh, I think that's I would be extraordinarily surprised for David Rubenstein to walk in and say to Mike, "Hey, Mike, I know you don't want to fire the manager, but I'm telling you, you're going to do it."
Right.
I don't think he would do that. I just don't think that's in David Rubenstein. But Michael Arrighetti, and given that David Rubenstein has acknowledged that I'm letting Mike have a fair amount of run here, I don't know that. That, to me, would be the wild card, is at some point does another weekend of this, and Michael Arrighetti hanging out with his golf buddies and them getting on, and what the hell's going on with your team, that he doesn't walk in and say,
"We're doing."
I think it's time for us to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't speak to that. I don't think
I think we're about a month away from something like that.
I had said before the season that I think it's Memorial Day before you even have that conversation.
Yeah.
But if you were to somehow lose 5 or 6 to the Angels and the Twins,
not a good look.
When this was supposed to be,
hey,
the schedule's breaking, you have an opportunity here, and it goes south, and you have an off day before. I don't think it's impossible, I guess, is all I would say, that somebody could be rattled. I probably agree with you that I think it's still unlikely, and that's normally the way that I operate, is that if it's something significant, I assume it's not happening, but
I still, and I'm not the most patient guy in the world, but I still think there's something in this team that will come out. But
I don't think the offense can be as bad as it's been.
No, it's
I say that, and I should probably not.
Generally, there's a regression, or what's the opposite of
aggression? Is it
No,
aggression?
I don't think
Progression?
it's- I don't
Progression.
think-
Progression.
Progression.
Yeah, thank you.
to the mean, and I think all of a sudden you'll see some games where we pound the opposition. Now, bad teams generally, when they pound the opposition, then all of a sudden the pitching leaks terribly. I see a little promise with Eflin coming back, and the way Kramer and Sagano. Suddenly you got 3 guys, maybe, that you can win games. But there for a while, it was problematic who was going to,
Oh, for a little while, it was Sagano.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was the only time that you sent a pitcher to the mound and you thought you even had a chance.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah.
Right? I hope that's the case, and that you're going to see something. I do think it's interesting of whose rotation. So, Morton, it's clear, was only in for the moment, right? And, he's going. But I think the question ends up being, what is he providing you out of the bullpen?
Right.
I'm not. This is not a sad song for Matt Bowman. Matt Bowman stunk. I get it. They tried.
Yeah.
And for moments it worked, but ultimately Matt Bowman wasn't really a guy. So Matt Bowman's gone, and now it's easy when you bring up Eflin on Sunday. Colin Selby will be gone to take his spot, right? But I think you start putting some other guys under microscopes, right? How justifiable really is to have Charlie Morton have a roster spot at all. And that's a really difficult thing, because you're asking somebody to eat the better part of $15 million to do this. But at some point, it's the Craig Kimbrell conversation from a year ago. Where does, hey, we spent money on the guy, measure up to, but we're just not getting anything of value from the guy?
Yeah.
And they waited the better part of the season before finally doing it with Craig Kimbrell, despite the fact that it was never clicking. I don't know how long you wait to make that admission with Charlie Morton that there's just nothing here.
Well, Kimbrell had a good run for about a month. He was very, very good for a month.
Which is 1 month, to be fair, more than Charlie Morton, right?
Yeah.
That's where you're at. And they tried to bring him out of the bullpen the other day, and face the bottom of the order, and Lord, this is what you're getting out of the guy. This is where we are. When Tyler O'Neill comes back this weekend, you hope that it's a far better version of Tyler O'Neill than what you saw to start the season. Will it be?
I asked him kiddingly the day of the home opener after that. I said, is there any way we can convince you that every day is opening day? They ought to decorate his locker
Put the bunting up do the whole, right? Welcome home.
Opening day.
Somehow, some way to try to get it out of Tyler O'Neill. Among other things, they need home runs. Like we talk about the idea that a year ago it was troubling that they were so reliant on home runs.
Right.
Well, they need to find some home runs again.
But it circles back though, and not to pick on him, but the guy that turned this team around 2.5 years ago was Adley Rutschman.
Sure. Yeah.
And you have a sense that unless he suddenly magically starts really producing.
To say it in the level of, is there a path for this team to salvage their season without Adley Rutschman being Adley Rutschman? Yeah, I think you're right. There's not a path to that.
Yeah.
That they don't have enough special on the right. Yes, Gunnar Henderson could bounce back and look a little bit more like Gunnar Henderson.
Yeah.
Jackson Holiday has looked a little bit more like the guy that we thought that he was going to be and could get there. But even if those two do that and Adley Rutschman is still this, I'm inclined to believe that you're right, that there's not enough to really ultimately make a difference. Yeah. Ryan O'Hearn's swam in waters probably. God love him. He's been doing his best to try to carry things a little bit. Yeah. For the first month of the year, it was Cedric Mullins. That's tailed off a bit. There are guys that I think can contribute in doses, but I don't think you can't rely on Ryan O'Hearn to suddenly be Jeff Bagwell either, right? That's not going to work. It's going to have to require Adley Rutschman, and I don't know how you're getting that out of him. I don't know where that's I don't know, man.
It's a head scratcher in a lot of ways, because I don't think we could argue that this was a third place club. I don't think any of us saw this tumble to a last
being
place
one of the
club.
bottom 5 teams in baseball.
Yeah.
No. That
I mean, this weekend, if they lose 2 out of 3 to the Angels, the Orioles will be 25th, 26th in my power rankings.
Yes,
and
deservedly so.
Maybe deserve to be lower.
Right. I mean, they can't win games.
Well, they can't.
White Sox and Rockies are the only two teams definitively playing worse baseball.
Right.
Hey, but other than all that, other than everything that we've said, hey, man,
at least the weather's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, Wait, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Dan Zimborski from Fangraphs is going to join us here in a few minutes. We will get his thoughts on. He wrote it a week and a half ago. Could the Orioles salvage their season? And then it got worse. We
can talk the North Carolina Panthers if we want. My baseball team.
Oh yeah,
we got a win last night.
Oh
we're 1-0.
That's good. You got any?
When does the whip snakes start?
They'll start in about a month or so. Yeah.
A
little less than a month. I guess.
Can we get an early?
Yeah. Oh, you want a little early?
Well, the draft was this week.
The draft was this week.
We didn't really do a full breakdown of the whip snakes draft.
Is there going to be a this week and the rest of the?
Oh, Stan, if the baseball season continues going like this, I promise you, we will be doing a whip snakes weekly. Oh, this
the man of the
match.
This board. I've said this Memorial Day. I'm going to start thinking about this board. If it's like this on Memorial Day, this board is gone, and we don't talk about it the rest of the year. The board exists as long as I'm convinced that everyone is still watching games. That's really the story of the board.
Yeah.
The board is, if I believe that everybody's engaged and watching the games, then I'm watching with you, and we're talking about it, and we're keeping our clock by the Orioles. But if we get to the point where I can tell that people are checked out on even watching the games, then this board disappears, and
we can do a man of the match for North Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to do that, but I'm still happy that your baseball team won a game.
Thanks.
I need you to
guess who got the save?
Oh?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Is that your role?
Yeah. Apparently, I don't know. It was game one. So
Are
we'll
you
see what
normally like? What do you normally play?
I guess now I'm going to start being more pitcher. I'm mostly an outfielder. I did not start in the
They
outfield.
just realized they were
night.
squandering all of your many talents.
I guess so. Yeah.
That was what happened. Who's the skipper of this team?
That's old Ethan.
Yeah. I got questions about Ethan. The way that he was using his personnel.
No, I think apparently worked out. He's one this season.
Might have to replace
as
him
the full-time manager now.
All
We
right.
actually had a managerial change from last season to this one.
All right. You, Ross, and Luke every Monday talking baseball. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. YouTube.com.
That could go away. It's possible.
Where he's talking about
We could talk about the whip snakes.
basically everything that Griffin does on This Week in the Rest of Baseball. You could just repeat it
Yep.
on Mondays. That could be the way that it ends up looking. Every Monday, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stan Shows is always brought to you by the Costas Inn. We are getting closer and closer to the brand new Costas Inn in Timonium at the track. We are
Sounds like it's going to still be at least a week away.
I
It's
said
close, though.
days.
Yeah.
Within days of
Well,
that.
they were aiming to be open by
I know.
Kentucky
I know they
Derby.
wanted the
I
Derby.
know.
I know that. Well, they're only a week away from the Preakness. It could still work
Uh-huh.
out. Maybe in time for that. That might
Not
that might-
100% sure.
Oh, Stan, you with your negativity.
I'm going by
It
talking to.
costs
I'm,
nothing to say maybe.
I'm
to
going
say
to talk. I'm
maybe.
going by talking
I
to Nick.
understand.
Yeah.
But we can always
It's-
hope.
It has nothing to do with them. It's
I know,
the
I know. They're waiting on
slowness
the-
of the.
I mean, there's
the
red
in-
tape. I can't
What
imagine.
are they called? The
The regulation.
health regulators,
Yeah, the
licenses,
whole, the whole deal.
the red
We're-
tape.
Yes.
That's what they're
Bureaucracy.
embroiled in.
Bureaucracy is the
they're
better way of
embroiled
saying
in
it.
red tape.
We're dealing with. Well, now they know the Pope. Can't that? Or the guy that finished 135th in papal voting. They should be able to shake things up a little bit and see if that can
I
help
heard
them
that
in some capacity.
they didn't like the name Pope Stan the Fan.
I thought it
that's
was
what-
just going to be Stan the Pope. I thought that was the
It was
plan.
gonna be
Pope the Fan,
Stan
I
the
thought?
Fan.
Pope the Fan. I kind of love Pope the Fan. I kind of love that. Just didn't work out that way. All right, let's grab a break, and then we'll talk to Dan Zimborski on the other side. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high-fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Something big is coming to Maryland, but it's more than what you think. Because this year, it's more than a race. It's the Preakness Festival 150. And if there's one event you don't want to miss, it's the Magic of Maryland Music Celebration with DJ D-Nice. Club Quarantine 5 Live. BSO alongside conductor Igmar Thomas. Special performances by Deborah Cox, Jadakiss, Too Short, and more. Tickets are limited. Find them and see all other events free and ticketed at PreaknessFestival.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
So KZ thinks we should just pick a random MLB team to support instead if this continues to go
Rockies,
south.
that's random.
Yeah, that.
Like, what if it lands on that? What if it lands on Rockies?
Well, I did that in 1987 on
when
the air.
when
I adopted, like, by May 15th, May 20th or something, we adopted the Minnesota Twins.
okay, and
who
that
ended
turned
up-
out pretty well, right? Yeah,
and
that
we did
turned
a trip to Minnesota.
Okay.
Took a lucky couple or, family to Minnesota.
Sat on the beach and
Yeah. No,
yeah.
went to the Hubert H. Humphrey
Metrodome,
Metrodome.
the Baggy Dome.
But I did all the interviews. I had remember the PA announcer there, Kirby Puckett.
Okay, I have some vague memories
of
of that.
famous beer man,
Okay.
Wally the beer man.
All
who
right.
came on the show.
I've
Yeah.
done I have not gone to that length, but like when the Orioles have been in the leaner years, I've openly acknowledged like, hey, I'm rooting for the one year it was the Braves because I wanted to see Nick Markakis and Ryan Flaherty find success, or maybe this year I'll root for the Padres because good for Manny or what. Like
Yeah.
I'll do that a little bit when things go south with former Orioles players who I have affinity for. Like if it's not them, I hope this guy wins a World Series.
Right.
That would be great. But it's fake. I'm not really invested.
Yeah.
I'm not really. I'm not
We
certain.
did a whole thing though that year. We had the announcers on from the Twins. And
It's a good bit,
Yeah.
Stan. It's a good bit. And obviously that year was particularly painful and troubling for the Orioles. But, I don't know. I don't know that I have
We're
it
not
in
allowed to
me.
pick like another AL East team, are we?
Well, certainly we wouldn't do that.
Well,
That
just
wouldn't be
because
the-
I
it wouldn't be the
really
case.
want to root for
What
Anthony
if we just
Santander.
what if we
can't
just
do it.
fired Griffin?
Oh, that's solves
sort of
everything.
a symbolic
It's
thing
it's
like
his fault
Hyde, instead
right,
of
right?
Hyde.
Maybe
It's like,
this will wake up Hyde.
This is what we. This is who we're sacrificing.
Yeah.
Look, man, we got to shake
We
things up.
announced
wake
that
up
we
the
it's
just
team.
done.
We got to light a fire under these
Yeah,
guys, and we
exactly.
got no choice.
Due to the performance
Yeah.
of the Orioles,
Yeah, the only thing
Griffin
that we
is
can,
no
the only
longer-
thing that we can do is fire Griffin. Like that's the only choice that we have. So we don't want to do it. We don't think it's his
But
fault.
we don't have the
Man.
authority to fire Hyde.
Correct.
Or
So-
fire Elias.
So we can only control what we can control, and so that's the way that it works.
And I'll tell you what, if it doesn't work, you can fire me.
Well,
a couple weeks later.
Well, Stan, I don't know. The whole thing might come apart at the seams if we do that. All right. Well, I have no idea what's going on. Do you want to move Twib to here,
Yeah, sure,
and
we'll
then
move Twib
and then
to
we'll
here.
figure the other
This
stuff
makes
later?
sense.
Dan not available.
I don't know what happened to him. I don't know what's going on. Life goes on.
Yeah.
Dan and I have a thing.
Is it a
bad.
we're in a
Oh,
Tarico
yeah.
situation here?
Bad.
I don't know.
Shouldn't have
worse
told
than
him Stan or
Tarico.
something.
Did you? Are you the one that gave him the peanuts, by the way, at the Kentucky
I
Derby?
know.
Was that you? You trying to get your revenge?
Don't chuckle like that.
All of a
That
sudden,
makes
I
you
see
look guilty.
I see Mike walk off the set, and I'm like, what's going on? This is cold, Stan. I thought you were a man of the cloth now. The hell's going on? These revenge things, they should be beneath you. All right, let's do this, I guess.
This week
In the rest of
baseball.
It's time for This Week and the Rest of Baseball. It's brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. I can't believe this, but I have just been informed that the first ever Glenn Clark Radio Poker Tournament is going to be June 7th at Live Casino and Hotel.
Huh.
I don't know any of the details yet. We'll be getting them to you in the coming days
You're a big poker
and weeks.
guy.
Not at all.
What?
I don't know how this is going to work. It might be the Griffin Bass Poker Tournament. I'm not sure.
Everyone's donating their money to me. Is that how?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but I'll have details for you. But keep the date, June 7th, noon to 3 p.m. for the first ever GCR Poker Tournament. And, of course, you're looking for somewhere to watch the UFC fights tomorrow night. Sports and Social is the place to do that. They've got a big event coming up next Saturday for the Preakness.
Is that the same day as the Belmont?
The June 7th? That probably would be the same day as the Belmont, indeed.
Really? I thought it was.
It's like a lead-in to
yeah,
the Belmont.
right? Yeah, come play poker and then hang out, watch the race afterwards. There certainly won't be a Triple Crown, but
you're right.
Might get a sovereignty journalism match race, perhaps, in
we
the
need to
Belmont.
rethink the Triple Crown in terms
we
of
100% have to
should be
rethink
3
that.
weeks.
Something along those lines. They're going to have to.
Yeah.
I think the people within the sport would say they need it to be a month between the races.
Yeah.
That's what they're telling you.
So it would be May, June.
Yeah. We were
and
talking to Randy
July.
Moss about it yesterday, and his suggestion was that you move Preakness to the Belmont
Randy
date.
Moss, the receiver?
Yes.
Yeah.
He has a lot of thoughts about
on
this
the-
topic.
He's a big horse
Move
racing guy.
Preakness to the Belmont date, and the Belmont date goes to 4th of July, and that's the way that it works.
Right.
That's the way that you make everything work, but nothing comes easy. You'll never believe this. Horse racing, not exactly a sport that adapts quickly.
How could you do the 4th of July? Wouldn't necessarily be on a Saturday.
You would just pick the Saturday closest to the 4th of
Right.
July, essentially, would be the plan.
Could be 1 year, could be the second.
Or you just do it on the 4th of July. Everybody
Yeah.
has off on the 4th of July. You just say this is a new American sports tradition, is the Belmont on the 4th of July. And I don't know, that might not be a bad idea, right? Like, as we said yesterday, right now the biggest American sports tradition on the 4th of July is hot dog eating. So maybe they carve something out by making
Maybe
it.
they do the hot dog eating at the
That
Belmont.
was actually Randy Moss's suggestion, in fact, is that they move the hot dog contest to the Belmont. But I don't think they're going to do that either. I don't think that's going to work out. All right. This week in the rest of baseball, what's been going on, Griffin?
All right. The thing that kind of caught my attention.
Tell us something we can pay attention to, because we sure have no interest in paying attention
the
to.
thing that caught my attention most kind of developed last night after. So the Red Sox, they're doing pretty well. I mean, they're a game over 500. They're 2 games out of first place in the AL East. I think we'd all die for that
Yes,
here
we
in
take it.
Baltimore right now. They got a win. They got a shutout win over the Rangers yesterday. The Rangers won the World Series a couple years ago, but things should be.
They're not very good now.
I mean, they're still better than, I guess they're better than the Orioles, but they still won a World Series within the last 2 years, which is nice. Anyway, the Red Sox got the win. I feel like fans should be relatively pleased with the way things are going. Obviously, you're not in first place, but so is life. Tristan Casas unfortunately went down with a knee injury earlier this week. I think it ended up being an ACL, so his season is over. And the Red Sox are searching for options at first base. And it has come out that apparently Rafael Devers refuses to play first base.
Oh, I did see this.
Yes. So this is a wild,
he's not happy about
he
this.
spoke to media for 5 minutes almost yesterday and answered every single question and said he was upset that they moved him to DH. They signed Alex Bregman in the offseason. In spring training, they moved him to DH and essentially didn't let him play anywhere else, or at least that's the way. That's my understanding right now from afar, is that they didn't allow him to play. They didn't say, all right, well, you can still take reps at third or take reps at first now, and so he's mad that.
And that went so well that they said, I know what we'll do.
Yeah, and so now they're like, well, all right, so Casas is done for the year. So Devers, I mean, you play first base then, and. But he's like, I've never played that position, and I don't want to learn it now, or something.
The quote was super weird too, right?
I've got 8 different quotes, and because they're all
And it's funny. I
relatively
read
the
something
same.
yesterday that he had turned that he really didn't want to go to first base earlier, but now he's open to it. I thought I had just read that.
Oh,
yesterday.
certainly the quotes that he's saying have not.
Okay.
He said, "You have one you wanted to start with."
The one, Rafael Devers. I don't understand some of the decisions that the GM makes. Next thing you know, someone in the outfield gets hurt, and they want me to play in the outfield. He's going in.
Here's one from.
He's going Draymond Green on them.
I mean, this is
from Christopher Smith, who covers the Red Sox, and a lot of people are also like, maybe it's getting lost in translation what he's saying, but it seems like just because his translator was translating everything, and he was giving long answers. But this was one from Christopher Smith. I know I'm a ball player, but at the same time, they can't expect me to play every single position out there. In spring training, they talked to me and basically told me to put away my glove, that I wasn't going to play any other position but DH. So right now, I just feel like it's not an appropriate decision by them to ask me to play another position. It was the GM that I spoke with. I'm not sure what he has with me. He played ball, and I would like to think he knows that changing positions like this isn't easy.
Look, Does he have? I don't know. What's Rafael Devers' contract? I haven't.
I mean, they just signed him to
yeah.
$300
Right.
million. They just gave him
Yeah.
$300 million. So that's
Like-
what fans are like.
Hey, dude. Yeah.
He's somewhat got a point, but also, dude, you're getting paid $300 million.
Yeah, it'd be nice for you to say, "Hey, I'm willing to do what I need to do in order to
the
try
guy
to
that
help
we
the
thought was going
team."
to play first base is out for the year. Like, we didn't see that coming.
Does he have a point to some extent? Yeah, right. Like,
But he comes off as being
Yeah.
like a jerk.
yeah.
Look, they botched this.
Oh, 100%.
There's no
right.
question about that.
Now, to be fair, Alex Bregman's been tremendous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but they botched. In other words, he needed to be brought in
Yeah.
and talked to before
We
the contract.
we need to
was
ask
signed.
you for some buy-in here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you would have thought that that's one of the things that Cora would have brought to the table is his ability to have the relationship with the players to get a buy-in.
Mhm.
You know, so it doesn't sound to me when push comes to shove, it doesn't look to me like his future is in Boston. And I still think he's an eminently tradable commodity.
Probably. I mean, it's a big.
This is a crazy contract.
It's a big contract,
10 years,
right?
$313 million.
Like, how
is
many
the
teams really are
contract.
that would even be willing to take that on before they can think about what they're giving up in the process?
This is like year 2 of it, isn't it? This is year 3 of a $313 million contract.
I don't know, man. It is nuts. I mean, it is nuts.
He's owed $28 million each of the next 7
Well,
seasons.
and then I think the question becomes, like, is there something bigger there? To your point about the Draymond Green comparison, like, do his teammates say, hey, he's a mercurial dude in general? Is this really just very unique to the I mean,
would the Mets conceivably take him on and for Alonso?
Well,
I mean, that would be an interesting.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
But then, like, are they going to ask him to play first?
Right.
base? I mean, I guess is it different because they're being upfront with him from the start?
They'd move Vientos to first base.
I guess this really does like come down to can it be salvaged? Look, I feel so bad for
Maybe
the
we
Reds.
can ask Dan Zamborski that.
I'd love to.
Can the Red Sox?
Can the Red Sox salvage? Yeah, Rafael Devers. Dan, what's going on, buddy? Dan's deal is. Yes.
But anyways, that's the news in the Red Sox. I feel like that was at least that was the biggest news.
Oh, I think the bigger story was there was a manager that was fired yesterday.
Oh yeah, Derek Shelton was fired. We can talk about that too as well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the wake up call for the Orioles, or maybe not. They lost yesterday anyway, so who knows?
I-
But yeah, Derek
I-
Shelton after I think they were 10-26. So
I-
maybe you can add the Pirates below as well. I said the White Sox and Rockies. Maybe we can say definitively the Pirates also below the Orioles. But yeah, Derek Shelton and Don Kelly, the new interim manager for the Pirates.
Don Kelly, right?
Yes.
Am I supposed to be excited about Don
I
Kelly
think so,
for some
yeah,
reason?
yeah,
Why am
yeah.
I excited about Don
Because
Kelly?
he played when I was a kid, so I
reading
know who he
the
is.
Yeah, that's
Reading
it. All right.
It was like when Grady Sizemore got hired by whoever
Okay.
Reading
whoever
the
he got hired by
comments-
last year.
Reading the comments of Ben Sherrington and the owner, what's his
White
name?
Sox.
Nutting.
Yeah, Neil. Or I thought it was Neil
yeah,
Huntington.
Neil
right?
Huntington. No,
No,
Huntington
that was
used
the
to
old
be
GM. Yeah, correct. Nutting is correct.
Nutting.
Yeah.
He loves. This is a guy who loves Pittsburgh. And
Sure.
And the
Nutting does?
community.
Sure.
Boy, that's really going to win a lot of games.
Sure. Very beneficial.
The other news. Did you see?
Well, hang on. I did like this. Ken Rosenthal is
Okay.
not happy about the Pirates firing Derek Shelton. He said, the Pirates essentially said, we want you to make apple juice, but we're going to give you a bunch of lemons. And look, this is the comparison that some people around
Yeah,
baseball
Paul Skeens, come on.
do have Paul Skeens.
And
for what it's worth,
Ricochet.
they were. This is the kind of crazy part about the Pirates is the Pirates did some of the things that we asked the Orioles to do.
Yeah.
Like they did extend young players.
Brian Reynolds
They were
and-
aggressive in that way.
Brian Hayes, I think.
Yeah. Just haven't added to
Yeah,
it.
but when your off-season highlight is signing
But-
Kiner Falevna.
Yes,
I'd say-
I get it. But that's to
He
be
was
fair,
good for a week.
That's the similar comparison for the Pirates is not terribly dissimilar to the complaint about Mike Elias, which is okay. You identified the core, but the core alone doesn't win you a World Series. You have to add to the core. The Orioles obviously were better than the Pirates were, but like you still need more. It can't just be, well, we have some talented young players, so we're good, right? Like, no, once you have The concept is supposed to be, we gut this thing, we identify a core group of players, they come up, they prove that they're ready, and once they're ready, then we surround them with the pieces that are necessary to go win a World Series. Not, well, hey, we got the pieces, good luck, boys. Like that just doesn't work. I understand that point. I think a lot of people make a similar point. If Brandon Hyde were to get fired, would say, how are you blaming him for this? And I don't blame Brandon Hyde for anything.
Also this week at the Pirates game, there was a I don't know, for whatever reason, there was a fan that got into a fight with an usher.
I did see this. Spit on him.
He spit on him, and the usher kind of kicked his butt and
took his belt.
He took his belt off and whipped the guy with his belt. This went on for like 10 minutes. I don't know how.
Yeah,
I don't know how
nobody
they
else stepped in, right?
Where was like the police?
They got there 10
seriously.
minutes later. Like
it's wild.
It
man.
was a weird.
Really?
Scene. I couldn't tell if this was like during the game or after the game. I mean, there was nobody in the stand,
What,
so
they
it
don't
could have been
have
at
any
any point.
They don't
during
have
the
any
Pirates game.
police officers at PNC
I
Park.
have no idea, man.
Well, don't mess with the ushers next time you go to Pittsburgh. All right, that's the lesson.
Yeah, right.
No, the thing to do is make sure you bring.
Yeah,
if you're a
don't wear a
fan,
belt.
Bring a belt.
Yeah.
No, if you're a fan.
No, he got whipped with his own belt.
No, he didn't. The guy
No,
the guy took his
Yeah,
belt.
the usher took his
Yes,
belt
that's
off.
what I'm saying. So that
No,
you're
I'm saying if you're going as a fan, make sure you have your belt.
well, you can't let. But
so
then
you
what?
can fight back.
But if the usher takes it from you, you're screwed. I'm saying you can't
no,
wear it.
He took his own belt off.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the way I
okay.
saw it.
All right.
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
The
All
usher
right.
took his
All
own
right.
belt off.
All right,
Whipped
so
the
you
guy.
need to have a.
So you
I
can
get it.
defend yourself.
You got to bring a belt to a belt
To
fight,
defend
is what you're
yourself.
saying.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand that.
Don't bring a knife.
Don't bring.
Well, I don't think you're allowed to do that, Stan. I think that they
Don't bring
Wait.
spit to a knife or to a belt fight.
correct. Great point. You didn't know what you were
They have
getting
shivs
into.
in jail all the time.
That's true. I understand, but I still feel like they're supposed
You know
to be.
what you do? You get to the game early.
We,
and you get in without a
and
shiv.
then you make your
and
shiv
you make a
at
shiv.
the game in order
Have
to
enough
be
time.
prepared for the belt fight. Wow.
We were talking about the Red Sox.
I didn't know what happened.
The Red Sox got a big win last Friday night as well. They beat the Twins, which the Orioles couldn't do.
What are you doing all this Red Sox content for?
This
I'm not
has
sure.
nothing to do with the Red Sox. This
Okay.
has something to do with the umpire. Bill Miller was the umpire.
All right.
And unfortunately, it all happens. He got a call wrong. The Red Sox challenged it, got it overturned, and he left his mic on maybe a second or two too long, and expressed his disappointment with himself. So maybe language ahead. Be
Uh-huh.
ready. I'll just play the whole clip so we get the feel for what's going down here.
Durant hitting second, hitting third. Here he comes, trying to score. Here's the throw. He dives. He's safe.
See that tag right there was the
After review, the call on the field is overturned. The runner is out. Minnesota retains.
So it is 6-1 as the call is overturned at the end of 8. Red Sox ahead 6-1.
Fucking saw that too. God damn it.
Durant hitting second.
Well, I mean, I appreciate his frustration with himself. I do appreciate the fact that he's not happy that he got the call wrong.
Was that the Pirates? Who
No, that was the umpire.
That was the
That was the umpire.
He got the call wrong. They
Yeah, he was mad at
overturned it.
himself. But the part where he says, "I effing saw that too," that's not exactly like that's pretty damning. Like, what do you mean you saw? If you saw it, why didn't you call
I think because
it?
he was right there. It was right in front of him, and he just went safe
But that's
first.
what I worry. If this is the thing,
All right.
where like when we say, well, there still need to be umpires involved, right? Like, but eternally we felt like the throw beat him, so I'm just gonna call him safe, right? And once I call him safe, if you realize that legitimately is the way I feel. It feels like he knows. He knows he got the call wrong. He anticipated the call. And one thing you never see an umpire do is when they anticipate a call, start to make the signal and then say, no, I got it wrong.
Right.
I don't know what it is about umpiring that you have to be confident in your call even if you're wrong. Sometimes if you anticipate a call and then you see it and you realize I was wrong, just say, oh, sorry, safe. Get the call right. It's insane that no umpire is willing to do that. And that's what it feels like.
You know what he should have done? He should have taken his belt off.
Right,
Hit
man.
himself.
100%, right? Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Get a shiv, right? Like, he probably carries one around. He's an umpire. He never knows what he's going to run into after the game.
How about that for a promotion?
a belt night.
Bring your knife to the ballpark.
Bring a shoe. You know.
I don't know.
Make
I don't
your
know
own
if they're going to do make
night.
your own shiv night
What
at the
would be?
ballpark.
Yeah, what would
Stan.
that?
I don't think
what would
they're
that
gonna,
accomplish?
I don't think they're going to do that. Told you I'm still sad about the radio promotion I'm the saddest about is Ed Norris wanted to do the hookup cook-up, which is in prison. Like the delicacy is
Grilled cheese.
you take a ramen noodles and then whatever you can get in the commissary and you dress up your ramen noodles. So like if they've got Funyuns in the commissary, you put some hot sauce, whatever you can get in the commissary at the prison, you put it on top of your ramen noodles and you make the best meal that you're going to have in prison. And we were talking about it one day, and I said, well, I like the sounds of this. What if we invited listeners to make their own versions of a hookup? And we called it the Hookup Cook-Up, and we did it as an event somewhere. And we were 3 steps down the road with it. We were like already talking about it on the air, and then one of the higher-ups at then whatever it was called, CBS Radio, Infinity Radio, I don't know. They said, you want to bring attention to prison eating and connect. That's what you want to do? And we were like, yeah, it'll be fun. They said, we're not doing that.
Lame.
That's when they fired Glenn Clark.
Yeah, all of a sudden. You wonder why I ended up in Phoenix. It was right after the hookup cook-up
Gotcha.
concept.
Justin Verlander pitched in Chicago, played against the Cubs this week, so that allowed Marquee Sports Network to pull out a great stat. They pointed out that Verlander debuted back on July 4th, 2005. And since that date, over 4,000, to be exact, 4,747 MLB players have debuted since then. That is over 20% of all of Major League Baseball. So Justin Verlander, that's just how long Justin Verlander's been.
How about it?
I thought
that is interesting.
Also in Chicago, though, this week, they are calling up the 7th overall pick of the 2022 MLB draft, Cade Horton. And so Cubs fans are very excited about Cade Horton being called up. He was out of Oklahoma. He dealt with a lot of injuries, so that's why a little bit of a slower progression here to the big leagues. But apparently they're calling him like the biggest Cubs pitching prospect since Carlos Zambrano getting called up.
All right.
So they're all excited. He had Tommy John in 21, and then didn't pitch until like the 2022 College World Series. And he was lights out for Oklahoma. Had like 13 strikeouts against Ole Miss, who ended up winning the whole thing, but Oklahoma was the runners-up. They're very excited about him. So they're just trying to give more baseball things around you. A lot of I've seen multiple people say his fastball is his best pitch. Then others have said his slider is his best pitch. So apparently a very exciting prospect for the Cubs, Cade Horton.
All right.
Cade Horton, potentially.
Kate, is that a woman? Kate?
No,
Horton?
Cade.
I think. All right.
Old Cade.
We good?
Like
And then the Orioles have gotten so bad to the point where they are throwaway lines in NBA broadcast now. I didn't see. I couldn't find the clip, but multiple people were sharing that. Apparently, Stan Van Gundy, late in last night's Warriors and Timberwolves blowout, he said, "Darn it, I had the stats."
Orioles probably the most disappointing team in Major League Baseball. Well,
Yeah.
how did they get there?
Yeah, I don't know how they got there.
How'd the conversation get there? And why does Stan Van Gundy care? Did he have some money on that? That's the only thing I can assume.
Yeah.
Why did Stan Van Gundy care to bring it up? I mean, look, the Warriors game was a dud. I understand that, but like, how did the conversation shift to that? I'm a bit confused. All right, that's this week in the rest of baseball. We think Cordell Woodland's going to join us, but Lord, I don't know.
Never know.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Is it you? Did you scare everybody off today? What the hell happened? We'll come back in and hopefully catch up with Cordell next. Stan's here, Glenn Clark Radio.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas Combo, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious filling sandwiches including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCRs, continue along on a Friday edition. Stan the Fan is in studio. Stan, this is breaking news this morning. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but could have major ramifications. Jordan Hudson has been banned from the North Carolina football facility.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who is Jordan Hudson?
It's Bill Belichick's girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, has been apparently, according to Pablo Torre, banned from the football facility.
This is about to come up in This Week in Baseball.
That was next.
Yeah,
that was next.
That was next.
Look, man, we can laugh about this, but like, dude, there could be some real ramifications from something like that. Like, I understand why you're North Carolina. You're like, yo, this is not.
Yeah, this is not what we signed up.
This is not good. But does then Bill Belichick turn around and say, yeah, you can feel that way all you want, but this is my girlfriend, and she's going to be here, or I'm not going to be here.
Right.
Like, does she then say to him, put down an ultimatum, you're going to have to choose? Like, I think there's a lot of internet jokes about this, but I do wonder what the ramifications will be from apparently North Carolina banning Bill Belichick's girlfriend from the football facility, where we had heard that she was very involved. You're laughing about it.
Yeah, I am laughing about it.
And I understand that, but, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's more complicated than that. All right. I think he was hosting the morning show over on The Fan this morning. Of course, covers the Ravens and the Orioles for 105.7 The Fan. He's our friend Cordell Woodland, and he is back with us here on GCR. Cordell, it's Glenn. Stan's here with me on a Friday. What's going on, brother? How are you?
What's up, fellas?
Everything good?
Yeah, man. No complaints over here. I mean, it's Friday. It's a rainy one, but I can't complain. The weekend is here.
And plus, there's
That's
so many
kind of insights you get from Cordell.
Yeah, right. Well, there's so many
Friday.
There's so many pleasant things to talk about right now, right? Like, everything is just so pleasant that how could you not want to do?
Hold on. Let me.
We gotta.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the positive right now because the local sports aren't giving us a lot of positivity these days.
Hey, Cordell, I just have to ask you, how's the marriage going?
It's great, man. We hit a month. Was on the 5th, so a couple of like last week we ended up celebrating. So that month flew by just as fast as it felt like the wedding day did. But
I had the under, so damn it.
Sorry to disappoint.
Oh man, that's rough.
I gotta ask you the more important question. Don't you know that I'm now an officiant? Couldn't you have waited a little bit longer and I could have married you?
Well, see, the problem with that would have been I'm giving her a little too much time to come to her senses.
That's
so
a good point.
I had to act fast.
Good point.
Before she started to realize.
Very smart.
I can't argue with that.
Very smart man. Although I'll tell you, tomorrow is my 11th wedding anniversary. And
isn't it time to renew your vows?
Oh, no, not a chance in hell. We're still considered. She still hasn't come to her senses, which I appreciate. And no truth to the rumor that she, Mrs. Woodland, has been banned from the North Carolina football facility, correct?
No, we neither of us have reached the status of where we're getting banned.
We're still good.
And definitely not to the point to where we're getting banned and it's out publicly because why would anybody care?
Right, there's that. All right, Cordell, before we talk about the Orioles, just briefly, your reaction. I admittedly was not as worked up as a lot of people were about how the Ravens went about parting ways with Justin Tucker. I would say that's more about me, where I roll my eyes at everything they say and I don't take any of it seriously, right? So, like, I understand. I talked to Rita last night. I know Rita was not happy with how they worded their – and I get it. I get the point. I think this is just more about me. Like, I think everything they do is performative, so I don't really take any of it personally.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's going to have a different standpoint. Everybody's going to view it differently. And for people like you that – never had, kind of the wool over their eyes. Like you said, you view a lot of what they do performative because it is. You weren't taken back by it. I think there are people out there that put the Ravens on a moral pedestal, so to speak, when it comes to the rest of the league, because that's been the Ravens' way. That's what they have told you. That's who they told you they were. Right? They told you they were, and I still think they're a class organization for the most part, but, when the rest of the league zigs, the Ravens like to zag. And the league itself has shown us that they don't care about issues like this, anything involving a woman, it feels like, whether it's domestic disputes or sexual assault cases. The league has repeatedly shown us that they don't care. And I think, at least for me, the problem with the Ravens is you go back to the Watson situation, which was terrible, but it was easy to throw stones when it wasn't your house. When you're casting those stones at somebody else because they're going through that situation, because they're bringing in a player that has that type of baggage, it's okay because that's not at your front door. Mm-hmm. But then when it is at your front door, you move totally different. You don't practice what you preach. And I get them not wanting to commit to anything with Tucker in terms of the off the field thing for the PA reasons and their own reasons. I understand all of that. I thought it was a little too celebratory for Tucker. I thought the tone of the statement wasn't great, but I also feel like there are, again, to the people that put the Ravens on this moral pedestal, I think the Ravens have a responsibility to those people to, the people that believe in Santa Claus. If they want to believe in Santa Claus, fine. And if you're the one pushing,
what are you trying to say about Santa Claus, Cordell?
I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with believing in Santa Claus. Santa Claus is out there, depending on who you deem to be Santa Claus. I'm just saying,
as long as Santa Claus can help you win games.
Yeah,
and that's what it seems like. As long as it can help you win games. But I just didn't. I'm glad that they're kind of showing, hey, we're no different than everybody else. We're like the rest of the league. It's all about what you can do for us on the field. That's the way the league has gone. I'm fine with that, but just be who you are. Don't tell me you're one thing and then show me another version.
I think the thing with the Watson thing, I think the entire industry wasn't so much pissed that they took on Watson. It was the contract, that the record-setting contract, given all the uncertainty about what type of person he was.
I would add one other thing. Like, Cordell, I do think that there are people that are struggling with the juxtaposition of moving on from Justin Tucker like this versus, and you just drafted Mike Green. And I think it's fair, right? And how you reconcile. And by the way, it might be why there is truth to what they're saying about it's a football decision, right? That, like, I think the real question is, hey, if 2 years ago this stuff had come out publicly about Justin Tucker, would you have gotten rid of him? Or would you have said he's the best kicker in football? Like, we're not doing that. And so I think that's one of the things that people are struggling with is how do you get rid of Justin Tucker at the same time as you're taking on someone that has multiple sexual assault allegations in the not-so-distant past.
Well, the uncomfortable part is, again, and this goes to you bringing up them saying that it's a football decision. To a degree, it is.
Right.
To a degree. But I'm not going to sit – I believe even as bad as Tucker was last year, and really you could say the last 2 seasons, I still think if it wasn't for these off-the-field issues, if nothing else, Tucker would be at camp, and maybe there's competition.
Agreed.
But I don't think they're drafting a kicker. I don't think they're pushing Tucker out of the door. I think they're going to give him an opportunity to show that he should have a spot on this team. But I don't think they're kicking him out the door before we even get to minicamp. So that's the part that it's a little underhanded to me for them to dress it like it's a football decision, because it's the perfect storm. This happened at a time where the guy was trending in the wrong direction anyway. So it allows you to use the football decision, but in all actuality, I firmly believe that Justin Tucker would not be off this team if it wasn't for these allegations that are against him.
I agree.
No question about it. You know, my biggest problem, and I wonder how you feel about it, Cortland, is approximately a month ago, Cordell, I'm sorry, about a month ago, Sashi Brown, the president of the team, said that we're just going to follow what the NFL investigation, where it leads us to, which means that we're going to make a decision based on that, and then they make it this whole they took a U-turn and did it's a football decision, so they didn't end up waiting.
And that's why I can't just buy everything that they're selling. What changed? What changed? By all accounts, the investigation is still going on, and nobody, even including the commissioner of the league, last we talked to him, doesn't have an update. So what changed from then to now? Like you said, the team president said that they were waiting on this investigation to conclude. So I think the Ravens have put their foot in their mouths a couple of times. And because my thing was this: why not just go after it was a lot of kickers last year that were brought in to replace kickers and kicked well and ended up released after said kickers came back healthy. There were a handful of them last year. My thing was, I was surprised that they, at some point during free agency, not at the very start, but I'm surprised they didn't take a flyer on one of these guys that were already around in the league, cut ties with Tucker then, because just the same way they did with Marcus Williams, they made him a post-June cut, but that was announced long ago. They could have done the same thing with Tucker, and we'd be where we are right now. I don't know what changed, but it does raise my eyebrow a little bit that they said they were waiting on something that never ended up happening, and they still ended up pulling the trigger on this.
I'll make it the last one on Tucker. My educated theory, and based on a couple of sources that I've spoken to, is that this was all about the subterfuge going around the draft, that they knew what they were doing. They just didn't want to do it before the draft because they didn't want – and by the way, I would tell you that they kind of purposely leaked out to some people that they would consider the idea of keeping Justin Tucker as an insurance policy for whatever, maybe we find a kicker and it's working and that's great, but if we don't, then perhaps people are more willing to be forgiving of Justin Tucker if we're desperate for a kicker at that point. That was leaked out a little bit, and in hindsight, it comes off more like we don't want you to know how badly we are interested in the kickers in the draft. We want to try to play the game and play our cards, and it's part of what I go back to why I think everything is performative, right? It's why they get mad that I don't want to go out there anymore. It's because I don't really feel like being a part of the game. Like, I get what you're doing. I'm not mad about it. Like, that's what you think you need to do for business, but I just don't take anything that anybody says it seriously at any point any longer, because it always ends up working like this.
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like this song and dance went on way too long. It didn't help. It didn't help with anything. I don't think they ducked any of the backlash that they were going to get surrounding this entire situation by cutting him now, as opposed to cutting him months ago and moving on from a month ago, drafting a kicker, not drafting a kicker. It doesn't matter. I felt like it was always going to lead to Tucker being off the team, and it's whether they can't convince me that they drafted this kid and watched him for 2 days, and all of a sudden they decided they wanted to move on from the greatest kicker of all time. You can't convince me of that. I'm sorry. So, yeah, I think we were always going to get to this point. My question is, why did it take so long, and what is the difference between cutting him now and making him a post-June 1 cut and cutting him a couple of months ago?
All right, let's get in. Now let's go to the fun stuff.
Can I ask him? Wait a minute. Can I ask you one more football question? I saw that Jadeveon Clowney was released yesterday by the Panthers. Do you see any possible fit here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Clowney had 9.5 sacks 2 years ago with the team. They also led the league in sacks that year. Clowney was their best pass rusher that season, even though Van Noy had a really good year as well, and Matabike had a monster year. But I think Clowney was kind of the straw that stirred that drink for the Ravens pass rush. So, look, he's 2 years removed from that. So it's not realistic to necessarily expect him to just come back in and double that type of production. But I would say I think Clowney can get close to that type of production with less reps. Like, I am intrigued with the idea of guys like him and Van Noy on a limited snap count, but being used as specialists. And I think back to these Eagles defenses, man, and not even just this Eagles team that just won the Super Bowl, but also the Eagles defense that won a few years back with Nick Foles. They had pass rush units. They had different groups that they were throwing at, and it allowed their guys to be fresh. It's tough to game plan for that many pass rushers coming after the quarterback. So I've long thought that that's something that teams in general should steal from them, including the Ravens. So, yeah, you can get me intrigued a little bit by adding Clowney at the right price point, of course.
Is there money for him? What would it take?
I don't think a lot of money. I think it'll be more incentive-based. I mean, we were on the Big Bad Morning Show today. We had Brian McFarland on, and we were just spitballing, so I don't want to make it seem like he said this is law. But I think he said something around like he could see like a $5 million deal, but the deal is like loaded up with incentives. So that's something that I could see as well. I don't think he'd break the bank, but also you don't know what other teams are willing to offer and how long. I don't think he's looking to sign right now. I don't think he's pressed to show up the mandatory minicamp and the starter training camp. So I'm curious to see how this goes, but I would be surprised if they don't at least kick the tires.
Okay.
Cordell Woodland, 105.7 The Fan, with us here on GCR. Cordell, is there any part of you that can see a path to there being some sort of turnaround, or are you kind of at the point where this is what it is and there's going to be changes at some point soon as far as the Orioles are concerned?
Well, I'm mixed. I do think there needs to be a change. And the first change I'm looking at is I think there has to be a change with the hitting coach. And if that includes the hitting coach and the two assistants, so be it. But they need somebody that's not a part of this regime, that hasn't been a part of this regime, that's not as numbers driven and is a pure hitting coach. Go get it, whether it's a former Oriole. I don't care who it is, somebody that's been around the game for years. Like, I'm ready to go back old school. I'm going to be honest with you, Glenn. I think that's a part of what they need. They need to just – I think they're given too much information right now, and it's causing a problem to kind of snowball and become a bigger problem. These guys are in their own heads, and I can just go straight to the best player, Gunnar Henderson. He's in his head. I mean, I'm watching Gunnar strike out with runners in scoring position yesterday at a ball at his eyes. Like, that's not the Gunnar Henderson that I know. This dude has had great numbers all throughout his career from the minors up until now. But you look at this season, it's almost unrecognizable. Everybody's calling for Hyde, and maybe that's inevitable. Maybe Mike Elias getting fired is inevitable too. But I would go to the hitting coach before I start chopping at Hyde. But at the same time, I'm not as optimistic as other people. But, yeah, there's a shot that this thing could turn around. It's May 9th. I go back a couple years ago where they kind of lapped the Rays after that strong start that Tampa had, and granted, it was a little different at that time, and it's concerning that their issues go back to last year, but they've got to get healthier. It starts there, and then also hitting. We could talk about the pitching all day. That was expected to suck. but this lineup has been abysmal. They're atrocious with runners in scoring position. Their approach gets worse, it feels like, as the game goes on. And it's to the point now that if they're down a run or two early in the game, I mean, what hope do any of us have that they're going to come back? And that's a big difference from the Orioles teams that have been around the last 2 to 3 years that you always felt like that team had a chance. So a lot has to change for them for me to gain some optimism, because right now I'm starting to believe that this team that we've seen to this point is who they are.
It's hard to argue that, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue that.
Interesting to think of who, like, who immediately came to my mind, but I don't think they could have pay him enough at this point, would be Nick Markakis.
To be the hitting coach?
Yeah.
That's an interesting, right?
Matt Holliday.
Just a pure...
well, boy, that's an interesting argument, right?
I mean, Matt Holliday is the one that's right under their nose, I feel like.
And apparently has been working. Like, we have him to thank for the Jackson Holiday uptick this year.
That would be somebody, yeah.
I don't... That might... do you get in sort of like a church and state situation there, right? Does he say, like...
a Cal Senior?
Yeah, I don't really know if that's something that I want to do, but, I mean, I'm not opposed to having the conversation. I definitely don't think Nick Markakis is such a strange cat that I don't know that I could see that being something that he would be interested in.
I don't think he would do it now, and he made a good
made quite a bit of money, and I think he loves the idea. He just likes being off the radar and being his own guy and doing his own thing. But yeah, as far as a hitter goes and just the approach, Cordell, I don't know that I inherently disagree with you that these guys. I think that we are asking to if we're asking to abandon analytics, we're never going to see that occur, right? Like, it's just never going to happen. But to the idea of we almost need to dumb it down a little bit because it just appears to be so lost. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I hear what it is that you're saying, and
well, that's exactly what Texas did. And I'm not saying that Brett Boone doesn't have any analytic background, but they sort of dumbed it down. They said, let's get just a hitter.
Yep. Let's just go work at it.
And I guess that's my thing. I'm not sitting here trying to tell them to go fully away from the analytics. It's a part of the game now. It's there for a reason. But it just feels like that's the driving point. And I don't know. I'm not a part of every conversation that goes on with the hitting coach. So this is just my assumption based off the things that I do know and the things that I do get to see. And I just feel like it's too much at the forefront of what they're bringing to these guys instead of, look, how did they break out of slumps in the 70s? And I'm not saying numbers weren't around back then, but we got some of the greatest hitters of all time that played in some of these past eras with less resources. And I feel like a lot of it was them relying on what got them here and not having but so many voices telling them all these different things about what the charts are showing them and stuff like that. Sometimes you just got to dumb it down a little bit and get back to the basics. And for guys as talented as Gunnar and Adley, the analytics and stuff pushing that heavily hasn't been working. Maybe it's time we go a little analog and go back to the Sega Genesis days. Maybe the PS5 is a little too advanced. Let's take it back to the 4-bit days a little bit.
Cordell, when we hearing you again?
I'm probably sometime next week, probably on Thursday. I would imagine it seems to be the day that me and Ben Hall do our show, The Fresh Take, Thursday evening. So I'm assuming we'll be back then, but you never know. Just tune in to 105.7 The Fan, I should say. I'm thinking I'm in D.C. 105.7 The Fan, and you never know what show you'll hear me on.
Is that like a precursor? You going to 106?
No, hey, I don't know anything, but no, I'm at 105.7 The Fan right there.
I have had, as someone who has worked for both stations, there have been moments where I started to read a phone number for one, and I was like, all right, that's not the right one. I'm on a different.
I used to do that all the time.
It's an easy mistake to make.
Yep. At Cordell Woodland, that's how you follow him. Cordell, appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us. Cordell.
Appreciate it, guys.
Cordell.
Cortland.
We're gonna get it right.
Change his name to Cortland.
Stop it.
Good, man.
Stop.
It's all. I've been called worse. Trust me.
Thank you, brother.
Love you, Cordell.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Cordell Woodland with us here on The Fan. I like when you say Matt Holliday, I'm like, yeah, and then I say I don't think for a second. I don't think that. Like you asked
No,
him
I
to
don't
be,
think for a
if you
second
asked him to be a consultant, right? Like you asked him to have an informal,
Whatever Adam Jones is doing, probably not
informal
even
role
that.
with the
Yeah.
team, I could maybe see that. But to be an on-field, in uniform guy that would have to be fired at some point, hitting coach.
Who, Adam?
No, Matt Holliday.
Matt Holliday.
I don't see that at all. I don't think that there's the moment you think through the ramifications of that and the awkwardness that could create. Like you have to be able to fire that person, and to the point. Like yes, did ultimately you overcome the Cal Ripken Sr. bad blood? Yes, you did. You overcame that as an organization, but at a time where there wasn't nearly as much money in baseball, at a time where the Orioles could afford to be the team that paid the richest contract in baseball history in order to keep a player around. That's not going to be happening again at this point.
You know, they're still paying Chris Davis. Maybe they
that could be his role,
that
right?
could be his role.
Yeah. Hey, guys, you know what we're not doing enough right now is striking out. Let's spend some time working on our strikeout. Let's see if we can't do that. All right, when we come back in, a new show that's going to be airing that we're going to be telling you a little bit about on the other side of things. Stan is here. It is a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Something big is coming to Maryland, but it's more than what you think. Because this year, it's more than a race. It's the Preakness Festival 150. And if there's one event you don't want to miss, it's the Magic of Maryland Music Celebration with DJ D-Nice, Club Quarantine 5 Live, BSO alongside conductor Igmar Thomas, special performances by Deborah Cox, Jadakiss, Too Short, and more. Tickets are limited. Find them and see all other events free and ticketed at PreaknessFestival.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas Combo, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious filling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles' top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCRs, continue along on a Friday edition of the program. Today's show also brought to you by County Sports Zone. We are into the postseason. MIAA lacrosse playoffs get underway today. We know the
Does County Sports Zone cover that?
Of course they cover that. They cover everything related to high school sports here in the state of Maryland. Every sport, everything, every sport, every school, every team, all throughout the state. They've got you. CountySports.zone. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com.
Girls field hockey?
Yes, of course. Well, not right now because it's not that season. But yeah, in the fall, 100%. But postseason for lacrosse, obviously.
Ice hockey?
Yes. There's not a lot of it in the state of Maryland, but yes. It's not. I'm not kidding when I say everything.
Wrestling.
They've got you covered. Yes, 100%. Quidditch, sure, whatever it is that they're playing, they've got it. Breaking news again this morning. Hit the sounder. Yeah, way to be prepared. Sure. Apparently, Jordan Hudson not banned from the North Carolina football facility. I always thought this was what?
Does this work as the sounder?
That's our breaking news sounder? I love that. That makes me very happy. I sent your review to a couple of people in my life, and they want to fight you. Also, a lot of consternation about, Griffin was not familiar with the song Scenes from an Italian Restaurant by Billy Joel. Not familiar with it at all. When I said the other day, Brenda and Eddie had it, he was like, it means nothing to me whatsoever. I had a couple people that reached out with questions about this topic. Our friend Chris Eric, who, of course, provided our new intro music, said, I am curious, though, what does the lad enjoy listening to?
Me?
Yes.
Anything really? I mean, I don't
clearly not Billy
really
Joel.
Yeah, I mean, like I've been going out of my way to look into Billy Joel's discography and. Here, you want to? I don't know. You want to with the latest song, the last song that was playing on Spotify.
It's very successful.
How about Piano Man?
Sells out.
Yeah, it's a solid song.
Sells out stadiums. Don't bother to get. Why would
the
why
last
would you
song?
know?
So Amine probably is my favorite artist. That was the last song I was listening to. Dakota by Amine.
To be fair,
and,
I would react similarly
to
as
Amine. You're not familiar with Amine?
Yeah, as you react
don't know Dakota?
to Scenes from Italian Restaurant would be how I would react to Amine if you were to bring it up in conversation. I just don't know a whole lot about it. And
I like a lot of Mac Miller. I mean, that's
okay.
Yeah.
And I certainly am aware of
Mitch Miller.
Mitch Miller.
Mitch Miller. That's that guy. It's Mac the Knife is who Griffin's really into. Just a big fan.
Bobby Darin.
Yep, 100%. And Steve.
I used to like a guy that really don't care to mention anymore. You know.
Oh, that's I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Steve brings up a solid point. He says, if you're not willing to learn Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, are you also unwilling to learn sports history?
Yeah, basically.
This is
that'd be the simplest.
This is the issue.
Who's that guy? I gotta fight
This is really the issue that I have, right? The issue that I have is whenever we do this, and Griffin's like, "Oh, it's before my time." Like, yeah, Brooks Robinson, his career in Baltimore was over before I was born. But I assure you, I've done everything in my power to know as much about Brooks Robinson as I possibly can. And that's the difficult part about this conversation, right? Like, is it
Billy
comes
Joel
off.
is
This is
Brooks
the millennial. I mean,
what size shoe did he wear?
Brooke, I don't know Brooks' shoe size off the top of my head, Stan.
10.5.
Is that what it was? How about that? Did he have a preferred brand of shoe that he enjoyed wearing particularly the most?
The New Balance guy, maybe?
Yeah, right?
Hush Puppies.
Hush Puppies. He's got his Hush Puppies on. Yeah, that's by the way,
Cleats. Billy. He used to love to wear cleats.
Checks out.
That makes sense.
Checks
out. Smart
You
guy.
know what? This is why Stan is our Brooks Robinson expert here on this show, because no one can give you that kind of analysis.
Because I'm not going to be able to compete with Stan.
No, but it's not about competing. It's just about being capable of having the conversation, right? Like, that's the part that is very and I don't even know. Are you a millennial or are you the
I'm
post?
Gen.
You're
yeah,
post millennial, whatever they
Z.
call that. So millennial was Gen Y.
I guess so. Yeah.
This is Z. Post millennial
Gen Z.
or Gen Z.
Nelson,
the old
are you?
TikTok.
You're not Jen Nelson.
That was the issue. Is it's a very millennial thing to say. Like, it's before me. It doesn't matter, right? Like, well, like no, it matters a lot.
I know,
and the
I care
answer
about
should
it. I mean,
no, you don't.
There's so much history, though. I mean, I'm going step by step.
Again, I feel like there are parts that you
should
can
I pick
leave out.
one little piece.
If you
and
don't
dive
know
into
everything
Billy
about
Joel,
I think that Billy Joel could be on the list because
He
he's
should
still
be-
relevant to this day.
Should he be my homework this weekend?
Mel Ott, I think it's okay if you don't know as much about Mel Ott. If Norm Van Brocklin is the place where you say, like, I'm probably going to pass, I'll understand that thought process. By the way, nothing better than all of the memes yesterday about Chicago has a Pope before they ever had a 4,000-yard passer. Just A+.
Oh, that was what I looked at. Apparently he was a White Sox fan, too. He was at the White Sox World Series.
Definitively not a Cubs fan.
Is Pope Leo a White Sox fan?
White Sox fan.
He's a White Sox
Definitively a White Sox fan. Like, not even like a...
How quickly did that come out after
pretty quickly because he has two brothers, and his two brothers were doing interviews. Like, just going about their day. Like, yeah, it's an interesting day.
My wife
And-
finds the funniest stuff online.
Yes.
She immediately sent me that she can't wait to see. I really can't wait to watch Dick Wolf's new series, Chicago Pope.
Chicago Pope, right? In the line of Chicago Fire and Chicago Med and Chicago
And
PD.
She sent me that as well.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Is he a Bears fan?
Well, there's only one football team in Chicago, so I don't think that there would be another. If he's a football
Right.
fan, presumably he's a Bears fan. I think that would be the case, but I don't know that definitively. I can't say that with certainty. But yes, he's the White Sox part. We know definitively. His brothers were both talking about. He's a White Sox fan. He plays Wordle every day, and apparently recently watched Conclave. So. That's what we know so far, and he's Catholic. I don't know if you had heard that.
No,
he's a Catholic gentleman.
Is he an officiant?
I don't know. Now, what do you think it would cost to have the Pope do your wedding? What do you think? What was the fee
If
that
you're
you
in
were?
Chicago.
Your fee was what, $200? Is that the number?
The average is $240.
$240. You think it's for the Pope? Do you think it's above or below?
I'd say it's well above.
Could I have the Pope for $175? Because that would be really tough for you.
$175.
Yeah, if the Pope was undercutting.
Well, I understand he is very sympathetic to the needs of the needy.
All right, so he might just be willing to offer his services.
Might just do it for nothing.
Oh boy, it's going to be tough for your business, Stan. That's going to be really difficult for your wedding
Where I
officiant
come
business.
in is I specialize in non-denominational.
That's smart.
That's my specialty.
That's smart. Hey, the show Full Court Press is back on ESPN, and tomorrow night, Saturday night, 9 o'clock on ESPN2. Features basketball superstars like Hannah Hidalgo and Flau'jae Johnson, as well as Kiki Iriferin. And joining us now here on GCR to tell us a little bit more about the show, she is the director of Season 2. She's Nikki Spetseris, and she's with us now here on the program. Nikki, it's Glenn and Stan. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Nikki, I wonder for you, right? Like, this show obviously comes in the perfect moment, right? Like, we have never been as invested in this sport the way that we have been the last couple of years. Being around these players during the course of the year and what they're doing in and out. What was your interest level? Why did you get involved? And how much fun did you have being a part of this show?
Yeah, I mean, so much fun. This was a dream project for me. I've been working on sports documentaries for, over 15 years. I was an athlete myself, and I think now that more programs are being made to feature female athletes, I'm kind of like, it's been a long time coming. But yeah, for me and my team, you basically get to watch basketball for a living, and a lot of great competitive games, all over the country. It was super fun to follow, and I'm just hoping people like the show and tune in.
Why these three players, Nikki? Was it just these are the three players that wanted to do it? Like, was there a particular? Obviously, we think of Flau'jae in particular as being someone who's got a lot of interest away from the court that I feel like probably play out well as for a show like this. But why did it end up being these three players?
Yeah, listen, I think there's so much talent out there and so many good stories that it's definitely a hard thing to narrow down to three. But these three, three different programs that have different styles, three different parts of the country. They all have very different personalities, and they're all in different stages of their college career. So I think we just looked for a balance, right? I think after season one, Caitlin Clark and her record-breaking season were such a big story that we really wanted to highlight, three women equally and, hopefully just draw in more people with three kind of different personalities and programs.
How difficult is it, Nikki, to not have one subject that you hone in on and to pull together three threads like this?
I will say it's quite a large crew. We had about 40 people behind the scenes, with our camera people and our editors and our producers. So just navigating all of that, we're editing while we're filming. So I think logistically navigating all of that, all of the filming that's going on and following all of the stories is really interesting. Definitely keeps your life exciting for the last 6 months. And then also you know, how do you put the show together? How do you play what happened here off of, you know, what happened with the other character? I think what was cool is 2 of our characters met up early in the season with Notre Dame playing USC. And that was really cool to be behind the scenes in the locker rooms to see, you know, the team that won and the team that lost and how they kind of use that game as a jumping off point or a turning point.
She is Nikki Spetseris. She's with us here on GCR. Again, episodes 3 and 4 of Full Court Press tomorrow night, 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock on ESPN2. Nikki, and by the way, for those of you that are Washington Mystics fans, of course, that's where Kiki is now. So you get an opportunity to get to know her a little bit better ahead of her rookie year. Nikki, I wonder, too, like the line between, like, it's important to have the buy-in from the subjects. How important was it to have full access from the programs as well? And what's the line between, hey, we want it to be about these 3 athletes versus maybe being about the teams and what they're doing on the floor?
Yeah, that's the really interesting part about a show like this is you need buy-in from a lot of different entities, right? Like, you need the athlete, you need their agents, their families, but you also need the program and the coach. And I think, you know, the programs and the coaches also have different histories and personalities. So I would say, you know, USC is really has really grown in the last few seasons, obviously, with you know, Coach Gottlieb coming to USC and with Juju. And I think Coach Gottlieb wants more eyes on the program, right? So she was pretty open from the beginning. And then I think someone like Coach Kim Mulkey, you know, who's been around a little longer and LSU has, you know, kind of more parameters in place. We had to build that trust and build that access a little more. So that is definitely a part of it. You can't just go and film. You have to be really transparent. You have to build that trust, not just with the athlete, but with everybody around them.
Nikki, are you already thinking about season 3? Like, do you already have to start working on that now and sort of laying the foundation for it? Or do you say, actually, I'm on to different projects. I've got other things that I'm imagining.
But I would say both. But you know, we were lucky to have a little screening party for season 2, and it was just so funny. Everybody that worked on this show, from, you know, Omaha Productions, Words and Pictures, ESPN, and my crew, everyone just wanted to talk season 3. I think coming off the tournament, you know, we've all been living and breathing basketball and loving watching these games and following these women that you can't help yourself but try to think of who would be fun to follow next season.
Nikki, you mentioned at the outset that you've been doing sports documentaries and involved in them for 15 years. What are some of the other topics that you've honed in on?
Yeah, so I started my career with NBC following their Olympic coverage. So a lot of little stories on Olympic
profiles,
athletes.
yeah.
And then I did and then a lot of time following boxing for HBO and Showtime as well, which was, you know, series like this where you're following athletes, 2 fighters up until the fight, and everything in between. You know, some college football, some NFL. And now very excited to be, you know, like I said, following some more female athletes.
I think it's incredible. Again, tomorrow night, episodes 3 and 4, starting at 9 o'clock on ESPN2 for season 2 of Full Court Press. Nikki, thank you so much for spending a couple of minutes with us this morning. We can't wait to dive back into the show. Really appreciate you doing this.
Thank you. And I just want to shout out, all episodes will be on ESPN Plus, so you can check them out there as well.
Awesome. Thank you,
Thank
Nikki.
you. Good luck with it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Nikki Spetseris, Full Court Press, again, is the show. Appreciate her taking the time for us this morning. Stan the Fan, you making your, is this the Irish goodbye for you?
Yeah, I've got a PT session.
I understand that. How you feeling in general?
Fair.
All right.
Fair.
All right,
I mean,
we'll take that.
It's a battle.
You're back in action on Monday?
Back in action with Luke and Ross.
All right, we will look forward to that then.
And in the next week or 2 after that, Dan Duquette's going to join us.
I'm familiar with his work. I know that man well. All right, appreciate it.
All
Good
right.
to see you as always.
Talk
Thank you
to
so much.
soon.
Do we have another break we have to take, or are we good?
I believe we're all called up.
I
here.
never know anymore.
Yeah,
I never know what's going on anymore.
We're all
And then,
good
and then how's Dan?
I guess he's hopefully all right.
Please check in with us just to let us know you're okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Just want to know that. All right, then let's begin to wind things down.
Be interesting. I'm walking out the door. All of a sudden, the phone's
yeah,
gonna
right.
ring.
And
Dan's gonna call.
it really was a personal thing. He was like, "Yeah, you didn't tell me that there was going to be." Let's get a tidbit for today. Oh, you all right? We don't need any more accidents, Stan. Had a lot going on over there. Tidbit is brought to you today by the print issue of Press Box, which is available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. On the cover, Felix Bautista, Tyler Wells, Kyle Bradish. Great cover story from Luke Jackson about the hard road back from Tommy John surgery and major elbow surgery. So go pick that up right now for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms. Is this true? KZ says that he heard the Pope is an Eagles fan, perhaps from his time at Villanova. Son of a bitch. I don't mean that. He's the Pope. I can't say
So
that.
what? He's a Bulls, White Sox.
It sounds
he's not even a
kind
Bears
of.
fan.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to choose to believe that. I'm going to choose.
Not your Pope.
No, yeah, not my Pope.
Not your Pope.
Whatever.
Let's see. There was a good bit. I feel like, or I feel like now after the Celtics lost again, so they're down 2-0 to the old Knickerbockers. People talking about Jason Tatum being a fraud. He shouldn't be considered the face of the NBA, and that's what
was anybody considering the face of the NBA?
I guess Celtics fans were, and they were
not familiar with this.
But and I was looking into it. He obviously still kind of not a whole lot of playoff experience for Jason Tatum, even though they have won an NBA Finals. But I was that just got me thinking about the most playoff games ever played in by guys. So I wanted to do active guys. There are 7 guys, active NBA players, that have played 150 playoff games.
I think a couple of them are probably simple.
Yeah.
LeBron James.
LeBron James will be number 1.
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry is 7th on the list, 155.
Steph is 7th.
Yes.
Well, then it's probably not the other 2 guys I was thinking of. I was going to go straight down the list. Steph, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green.
Are those official guesses?
I'll say Draymond is still on the list.
Draymond is on the list. 166 for Draymond Green.
I'll say Klay is not on the list.
Is that your final answer?
He got hurt the 1 year. Didn't play much in the playoffs this year. They had a very brief. No, they don't even count those games as playoff games, do they? I'm going to say no. So. Klay Thompson is not on the list.
Klay Thompson has played 3 more playoff games than Steph Curry.
How is that possible?
I don't know, but apparently it is. 158 playoff games for Klay Thompson.
Son of a bitch.
So those are 5, 6, 7 on the list. You have 1 in LeBron, and then you got 5, 6, 7. So
Kevin Durant.
Yes, Kevin Durant, 4th on the list.
I mean, Jesus, dude.
Have you ever?
Chris Paul has only played in 149.
He's just playing the longevity game at that point, right? Like
he's 8th on the list, Chris Paul.
Boy, this is good. How about Russell Westbrook?
Russell Westbrook not there. 130 for Russ. He's 12th.
James Harden?
James Harden is top 3, 173 playoff games.
It's really difficult to remember where these guys were. Like, I got to be honest, man. Like, between Oklahoma City and that, like, it's really hard to remember, like, who had the better run of those 2 guys, location-wise. Kevin Love?
Nope. Where would Kevin Love be? Apparently Kevin Love has not played in a lot. I guess just all that time he spent in
that seems a little
Minnesota.
I guess. I
wasn't
don't know.
all that good with Cleveland without in Cleveland without LeBron.
And that's why Tristan Thompson's been around for forever, but I don't think he's on this list. Kawhi?
He's not. Kawhi is not. Kawhi is 9th on the list behind Chris Paul.
Man. DeAndre Jordan?
Nope. Not DeAndre Jordan. I don't know if he would. Is he still active? I guess.
Yes, he's with the Nuggets, dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Come on, man.
Good for him, I guess.
Come on. I didn't know that until 3 weeks ago.
The only player I care about on the Nuggets is the coach.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, you're a big Adelman guy.
No, I mean the coach, the player coach, Jokic.
Oh, God. I see.
And Jamal Murray. I do like Jamal Murray.
Do you?
Yeah.
Where's that from?
I don't know. I don't hate him.
Okay.
He doesn't play for the Celtics, so can root for him.
Kyrie? I don't think it's Kyrie.
Nope.
Jesus. Iguodala's not still active.
He is not still active.
Although it wouldn't surprise me if somehow. Horford?
Yes, Al Horford
Really?
is number 2 in playoff games by active players. LeBron, Horford, Harden, Durant, and then the 3 Warriors, the top 7. And then you got at the top 9, the 10th guy on the list is Kyle Lowry.
I didn't know Kyle Lowry was still active.
Yeah.
What team is he on?
He is on, no, don't tell me, the Heat maybe?
Maybe.
Oh, he's on the Sixers.
He's a Sixer?
Yeah.
If you say
or was
so.
a Sixer. I don't know what his contract was.
Reason why perhaps I didn't notice him this year.
He was on Miami before that. Apparently he was on Philly last year as well. So.
Sure he was.
LeBron has the most games played all time, by the way, as well. Most playoff games played all time as well.
That's not that surprising.
You want to do the top 5 all time, or they're all Lakers? Well, actually, no, there's one non-Laker.
One non-Laker among the top 5 playoff games of all time. All right, Magic.
Literally, no, Magic is not in the top 5.
Shaq.
No.
Kareem,
there you go. 5th.
Kareem.
Shaq is 9th. Magic is 14th.
Kobe. Well, there were just less playoff games back
Yeah.
then. That's, I guess, like they do kind of have to be modern guys.
But Kareem is on there, yeah. 7th was Kobe, so not in the top 5.
Is Kobe. Modern. Robert Horry.
Robert Horry is on the list. 4th.
Miss Howe.
No. Pau Gasol, not in the top 25. Andre Iguodala is top 20 though, all time.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. Didn't one of his Sixers teams also have a good run? I mean, he wasn't on like the team that made the finals with Allen Iverson, but
let's see. He was on the Sixers from 04 to 12. So.
Yeah.
I think he was on a Carmelo. No, that was after Carmelo left Denver. I don't know.
Rick Fox.
No, not
Derek
Rick
Fisher.
Fox. Derek Fisher is number 2 all time.
That's ridiculous.
How's that ridiculous?
Yeah, I just don't know how.
LeBron is 292. Derek Fisher 259 career playoff games.
So that's all the Lakers.
Those are the 4 Lakers, and the number 3 on the list is a non-Laker.
And it's not Michael Jordan.
Mm-mm.
Tim Duncan.
Number 3.
Is number 2?
Yep.
Or number 3?
Number 3, yes.
Okay. That's not very surprising, but that list doesn't. I don't know how much value there is in that list.
Plenty of value, because I shared it.
Sure,
so
sure, you got it.
Most important list of the day. Actually.
All right, let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right. By the way, you might have seen already today, Reed and I got together last night and did a podcast.
Ooh.
Now, you're going to ask more questions, and I'm not going to have answers for you.
When are we going to hear this podcast?
Yeah, well, you can hear it now.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's available.
Okay,
YouTube.
When's the next one?
I don't know. Just go to the NFL chick, and she's linked up to her. What is our YouTube? We did create a YouTube.
Oh, you guys made one. Okay.
Yeah, we made a YouTube. YouTube.com/@RitaAndGlenn, spelled out. ReetaAnd Glenn, GLENN. Spelled out. YouTube.com/@RitaAndGlenn. Subscribe. I can't promise you more content. I don't know. We're figuring out some moves, is all I can tell you. And we did something that was very similar to what a radio show might sound like. We didn't do any guests. I don't know if this will involve guests when we do it, because a lot of times it's just we don't know when we're going to do it. Like, hey, you got anything doing Saturday? Do a podcast.
Got anything doing?
But for the meantime, we'll be there. and we'll be doing stuff. So that's all I got for you. But I love hanging out with Rita. I'll hang out with Rita anytime, any place, anywhere, no matter what. And we'll look to try to make it a little bit more formal as is allowed, but that's going to be tricky while baseball season's going on for my sons. So just what it is at the moment. But you can find that right now. And also we also put it up in the greatest hits section. So you can listen to it. If you're a subscriber to Glenn Clark Radio, you can listen to it, or Glenn Clark Radio, the interviews. You'll be able to listen to it there, and we'll continue to share it out. So it was great to do it. Great to be back with Rita. Love Rita. End of that. All right, here's what's coming up this weekend, totally tubular-wise. Of course, Orioles-Angels for 3 out in Anaheim. Starting tonight, late-night games. They're bad, and they're playing late at night. So that's a fun combination. Tonight,
Can't wait.
Tomo Sagano, Kyle Hendricks
sweet.
at 9:38. You do have a chance.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is 9:38 as well. Kyle Gibson, and it's Jack
Kokonowitz,
sure.
Yes,
and if you happen to live in the Toronto or Seattle market, then you can watch it on MLB Network. And on Sunday, 4:07 on Zach Eflin and Tyler Anderson. By the way, tomorrow is just on regular MASN. Tonight and tomorrow on regular MASN. Sunday's on MASN too. What the hell is that? How is that? Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know.
No one has just MASN anymore.
NCAA Women's Lacrosse Tournament. Lots today. Fairfield, Maryland at noon. Liberty Hopkins at 2. Penn and Army are playing at 3 in College Park. Winner of that one gets Fairfield or Maryland. Stony Brook and Loyola at 4 o'clock. Navy and Clemson at 5 o'clock. Princeton and UMass are playing at 5 at Homewood Field. Maryland and Minnesota baseball this weekend. Big Ten Network Plus, 7 o'clock tonight. By the way, all the women's tournament games are on ESPN Plus. 7 o'clock tonight, 4 o'clock tomorrow, and Sunday. Sunday's game is on TV on Big Ten Network at 1 o'clock. Tonight, Cavs-Pacers Game 3, 7:30 on ESPN. Thunder Nuggets Game 3, 10 o'clock. And then TNT and True TV for Maple Leafs-Panthers Game 3 at 7. Stars-Jets Game 2 at 9:30. I know you're very excited because your boys won last night, evened up the series.
That's
one
right, we
apiece.
did. We did.
Got that
much
going
better,
for
much
you.
better looking game going,
I'm glad.
wire to wire.
So very happy for you.
Full game effort instead of on Tuesday.
Tomorrow, NCAA Lacrosse Tournament, Richmond, North Carolina at 12. Towson, Princeton at 2:30.
Let's go. Show the world who the real Tigers
right.
are.
Yeah, that's the way it works. The loser has to change their name.
I believe so.
That's
They
crazy.
better lose the stripes as well.
Colgate, Penn State at 5. Georgetown, Duke at 7:30. All those games on ESPNU. Stevenson's at Lynchburg at 3 o'clock tomorrow in the D3 tournament. Watch it on Christopher Newport's website. Salisbury is at home at 3:30. Opponent to be determined today. Tomorrow, Game 3 between the Capitals and Hurricanes, 6 o'clock on TNT and True TV, followed by Golden Knights Oilers Game 3 at 9. ABC has Celtics-Knicks Game 3 tomorrow at 3:30, which is basically a must-win game for the Celtics on the road. Timberwolves-Warriors Game 3 at 8:30. My God.
No one's overcome a 3-0 in NBA.
Basketball,
Okay.
no. Happened, obviously, in hockey a few times. It's happened once in Major League Baseball.
So we got to hammer the Celtics. They're not losing this game.
I mean, I think I don't know. Yeah, you're probably right. Sunday, NCAA Lacrosse Tournament. The first game is on ESPN2, Notre Dame, Ohio State at noon. Then Air Force, Maryland, 2:30. Harvard, Syracuse, 5. Albany, Cornell, 7:30. All of those are on ESPNU. The winners in the women's tournament will play again on Sunday. Obviously, we don't know the matchups. ABC for Thunder Nuggets Game 4 Sunday at 3:30. TNT and True TV, Cavs-Pacers Game 4 at 8. TBS Jet Stars Game 3 at 4:30. And Maple Leafs-Panthers Game 4 at 7:30. Everything else, find at GlennClarkRadio.com. Non-sports.
Matt Bomer and Paul Rudd will be on Fallon tonight.
I thought it was Bomer. It's Bomer?
Is it Bomer? I don't know.
I thought it was Bomer.
Matt Bomer, sorry.
He's on that show that I like.
Yep, your Mid-Century Modern.
Yes, correct.
The old Glenn Clark favorite. And Paul Rudd is in friendship with Tim Robinson coming out later this month. The movie.
I don't think I knew that was a thing.
You didn't know this was a thing?
I don't think I knew that.
Go afterwards, I guess. Watch the trailer.
Okay.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm sure
it's Tim Robinson.
Right.
Later this month, I believe. I think in some select theaters apparently it's available this weekend, but then it's going wide release in 2 weeks. I don't know. You're a big Ewan McGregor guy, right? You want to watch A Long Way Home on Peacock?
Apparently, Salisbury's playing St. Mary's. Thank you, Brian.
Oh, okay. All right, there we go. Ewan McGregor riding motorcycles in Long Way Home back in his home country of Scotland, if you're into that.
I've been asking for that. I keep calling people like, can we just get Ewan McGregor riding some motorcycles in Scotland already?
Well, I believe because he already did this kind of series, but it was back like during COVID, and now this is kind of the follow up to that apparently.
All right,
of him riding motorcycles again and
sure,
more motorcycle riding.
People demanded it.
Also on Peacock, the streaming premiere of Love Hurts. This is the stupid Valentine's Day movie with Marshawn Lynch and
Jet Li or Jackie. It wasn't Jackie Chan. No, it was
Ki Hu Kwan.
Ki Hu Kwan?
Yeah,
Okay,
Ki Hu
all
Kwan. In this Valentine's, it sucked. It was not very good.
You went to see it?
Yeah, I did go to see it. It was
boy.
really bad.
That's rough.
I mean, I don't know. Ki Hu Kwan's great in it. Marshawn Lynch he steals the scene. He steals the show in his limited scenes.
Okay.
I mean, it was okay action, but it was not a good movie.
Bummer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know if you're really bored and you have like 80 minutes. I guess you could tune into it. That was the nice thing. It was brief. It was a brief watch.
Got that going for you.
Nona's on Netflix. That's the Vince Vaughn one with Lorraine Bracco and the Italian restaurant.
Bottle of red, bottle of white,
red,
and you still haven't bothered to be able to. I can't wait for you to botch this coming up in a second.
I just say the lyrics, right? That's
sing them.
I mean,
That's
well, I'm
the
not
way
a
it
good
works.
singer. I mean,
I didn't
doing
ask
my
for you to be
best.
good.
I'm doing my best.
You're just singing them.
If the Rita and Glenn podcast continues, A Deadly American Marriage, maybe on a Netflix documentary.
All right, I'm listening. Just get to the part that matters.
The story behind Jason Corbett got killed by
Get to the thing that we
wife,
care about.
I don't
Get
know
to it.
Summer of '69, of course. This is Jillian Bell's directorial debut.
Oh, that's this weekend?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Hulu.
I'll watch
it's on
that.
Hulu.
I don't know if I'll watch it this weekend, but I'll watch it.
And yeah, with
Chloe Fineman.
Chloe Fineman as the stripper that teaches a high schooler about
it
sex.
looks promising.
New episode of Last of Us.
My God, get to the thing.
New episode of The Rehearsal.
Jesus
Sunday nights.
Christ.
John Oliver, of course.
Get to it.
Sunday nights. New episode of Mobland on Paramount
Plus.
Plus.
Enough.
Simpsons is back.
I got a lunch to get to.
As is Crapopolis.
Oh, my God.
Tracker Watson following 60 Minutes.
I swear I'm canceling this segment in a second.
Those are all the. RuPaul's Drag Race.
Get to the thing.
Season 10 of All
The
Stars.
only thing that's mattered all week in all of the country.
Then why are we? Arcade Fire.
In the world.
Forget you're a big Arcade Fire guy. Musical guest while some guy named Walton Goggins is hosting SNL.
Yes. Walton Goggins, baby. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to it. Is that it?
I think so, yeah.
All right, thank God. Thanks today to Cordell.
Thank you, Cordell.
Stan,
thanks, Stan.
I guess Nikki Spetseris.
Yeah, she was good.
We'll get those things up in the greatest hits section of the...
Brandon and Eddie stole a couple of something, right? Is that how it goes? Is that how it goes?
We tend to have about like a 3-year cycle with the producers on this show.
Is that how it goes?
I think we're hitting the mark. Just reach out. GlennClarkRadio@gmail.com.
I forget the name of the song.
Let me know if you're interested. I don't ask for a lot.
I think we should stick with the
you got to be able to do
Hendry
bits.
thing.
That's it. Got to be able to sell a bit. Not hard.
I don't like this bit. That's
not
why.
hard. Yeah, I don't know why. There's no reason for you to be opposed to this bit.
Brandon and Eddie were the popular steadies, king and the queen of the prom.
Then you got to say dun dun
dun dun.
No. You got to put effort into it.
Dun dun.
Do the whole thing.
Brandon and Eddie were the popular
We're going to
steadies.
try it again. Go ahead. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the.
Brandon and Eddie were the popular steadies and the king and the queen of the prom. Dun dun.
You don't have to be an a-hole about it, but it's still somehow better. Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Monday, allegedly a special football guest going to join us, and we'll recap a weekend of Orioles baseball.
Or we're watching that.
Thanks, everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Preakness Festival, Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great weekend. Go Orioles. Maybe we stop saying Go Birds. Like, it's not working.
Are you going to try to go see Thunderbolts this weekend?
I am trying to convince my wife to do the drive-in movie theater later tonight, but the weather a bit of a factor.
Stop raining for now. So
we are having...
you could go right now.
Thank you, Griffin. Always appreciate you being on top of things. We'll see. is all. If not, I'd like to go tomorrow afternoon. The real issue is going to be if the boys are like, I want to see Minecraft first. Like, that's going to be the real problem in my life. But
Double
yes,
feature.
the goal is to see the Thundergers.
I
know you keep saying that, but there's nothing
guess
wrong
it's
with
you
what
saying it, so
there's nothing wrong with what
not
I'm
me,
saying.
but-
It's the Thundergers. I don't know what
well.
what you're worried about there. I don't know what that is.
Turn my camera off when you say that. So
That's
I'm
weird.
not here.
It's weird. Have a great weekend. Go at baseball, I guess. Go all of the local men's and women's lacrosse teams. Duke sucks.